Hello there, and here I have John Campbell.
Birita, hello, and welcome everyone to this talk.
Oh, it's so nice to have you here. And you had a presentation about evidence-based medicine and follow the science or the evidence.
Yeah, so it's all about following the evidence. So when we started off on this COVID process, a lot of us just followed government guidelines because all my working life, that's what we've done. We've followed national protocols. And we started following national protocols. Now, in the past, the national protocols have been based on pretty good evidence, pretty good science. But then towards, as 2021 went on, there was inconsistencies in that. And for me, it started off with people like Kyle, who was a champion mountain biker who was noble enough to talk about his vaccine injury and debilitating injury that he had, and other people. And then Omicron came along, which was obviously so much less pathogenic than the previous strains. And yet the protocols for vaccines didn't change. And then when we looked into it more and more, there was more and more government guidelines that just seemed inconsistent with the evidence. Because what we do in healthcare is we have to follow the evidence wherever it leads.
Wherever it leads,
we might not like where it leads. Where the evidence leads may very often contradict what we've believed in the past. And that can be quite hard to take. But if you follow the evidence, you've got to be prepared to change. Yeah. Now, the trouble is a lot of the evidence is coming from publications, medical journal publications. Mm-hmm. Now, these are often compromised by vested interest. Very often the articles are ghost written. They're not written.
Can you please explain that? What is ghost written articles?
So pharmaceutical industries will have professional writers who are really good at writing. Yeah. And they will write that often in combination with the official author. But I guess they would say they're helping the official author. But of course, these professional writers, these ghost writers, the ghosts are like they don't really, they pretend not to exist.
Do they put their name on the articles?
No. Okay. The ghost writers normally wouldn't. Yeah. They are only going to write things that their employer wants them to write. They're going to write what they're paid to write. As well as that, the people that are doing the clinical trials, a clinical trial costs a lot of money. It costs about $10 million to do a big clinical trial. So who's going to pay for that? And we saw the example today of Santoshi Omura in Japan. His institution actually offered Merck the opportunity to have a clinical trial on Merck in COVID. But of course, Merck refused. I mean, why would they do that? Because the auspices of the universe were at their disposal. So it's almost as if people are just, or pharmaceutical industries are just researching products that they can make money on, rather than researching products that are going to save your life or my life. So we have this bias in the system that the money only goes where the profit can be. Yeah. So things like Dr. McCulloch's detoxification protocol with nattokinase. I mean, that's based on soybeans. You can't make any money out of that. No. So people aren't going to pay for the clinical trials. Yeah. So really, I feel what we need to do is, I think governments need to start taking responsibility for clinical trials based on that which is most useful for their citizens, not based on what people can make money from. And people that are paying for the clinical trials are very good at asking the right questions to get the right answers. Yeah. So what it means is a lot of the publications in journals now, while the research might be well conducted, it's done in a particular way by asking particular questions. Okay. And that means we're not really getting the information we want to optimize people's health. We're getting the information which is useful for making money, and as a side effect might be useful for people's health, but we need to get back to the health of the individual as the main focus of that.
And when you're talking about the scientific journals, how I can reckon that doctors they don't. Do all the doctors know that what they are getting is the things that has not been censored?
In my experience, I worked in an education centre for a hospital.
Yes.
I was an academic lecturer, and at lunchtime we used to go into the library, and there was one doctor used to come in about 4 lunchtimes a week and read the journals. Okay. In the hospital, there was probably 150 doctors. And you get the odd one that come in maybe once a week.
Okay.
Now, they could have all been reading medical journals every night in bed, I don't know.
No.
But no, the consensus of opinion is that doctors tend to read maybe the abstract. They don't really look at the methodology. Yeah. They don't really read the competing interests. Because what I do now when I look at a journal, the first thing I look at is a declaration of interests of the author.
Yeah, to see if there's a conflict.
To see, absolutely, see who's paying them. Who's paying for the study?
Do you often see a conflict of interest?
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Okay.
The problem is that trials are conducted based on medicines that can be potentially profitable.
Yes.
Rather than medicines which will be therapeutic and optimize the health of individuals.
Yes.
That is the fundamental conflict at the core of this.
Yeah, and I'm very glad I could speak to you. And Dr. Campbell, you have a YouTube channel, right?
We do. There is a YouTube
Yeah.
channel. If you type John Campbell in,
John
I'm sure
Campbell.
you'll find it.
Yeah, and you have not been censored yet?
Yes, I've been censored,
You have been
but I've managed
censored.
to get back on.
What have you been censored on?
We dared to mention ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine.
Oh, you could not even mention those names.
There was a time when you couldn't. So
Okay, you couldn't.
I had an interview with Dr. Pierre Corey, who's one of the world's leading experts taken down. And I interviewed a British elected member of Parliament, Andrew Bridgen.
Yes.
And because we mentioned those drugs, we didn't say they worked, we just mentioned them. The video was taken down and I got a strike for a week.
Okay.
But for now, I'm back.
For now, you're back.
For now.
Thank you very much. Bye.